Epic Gaming Night is made possible by the support of patrons like you. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Rick Candy, and with me as always is Matt.
Hello.
And Robert Newman.
Hello.
Be prepared for extremely high quality podcasting. Get hyped.
Top of the line.
Top of the line.
We're going out on a high note. We finally got our act together, and good day.
Listen.
You don't want to go back to the audio quality issues from the first couple.
Zero
episodes?
glitches.
No.
Rob, we're gonna need you to breathe into the mic real loud.
It wasn't even that loud.
The trick is everybody thinks we're gonna have like this epic episode to end. I'm literally just gonna play the first episode again and pretend like it's live.
Hey.
Oh
man.
Just
that
kidding.
would be so mean.
Dude,
I mean,
so
I think it'd be hilarious, but it'd also be really mean.
So Tom came up to me and he was like, "Dude, I saw that you guys are ending the podcast." And I'm
What do you mean
like,
you saw that?
"Yeah, man." He saw it on Twitter because I had announced it and said it on Twitter. And so he was like, "I saw you were ending the podcast." Oh man, I was like, "Yeah, well, I mean, we got a bunch of things going on and all this and that." And I was like, "It's all because you never let us join." Or he said, "You're part of the network, right?" And I'm like, "No, Tom, we're not part of the network. You never let us join the network." And he was like, "What?" And because I mean, we had talked about it multiple times. But I'm like, the very first email you ever replied to me was that I couldn't join the network because our podcast isn't good enough. And then he's like, What? I'm looking this up right now. And then he's like, well, technically the first email was me telling you couldn't be part of the Dice Tower Awards. I'm like, fair. And he's like, the second email was me denying your acceptance to the Dice Tower Network. And I'm like, thanks, Tom. And he's like, it's all my fault. And I'm like, no, it's not your fault. But I was like, it was just funny. And then he's like, you need to let it go, Roy, or something like that. But we had fun.
Well, hold on. Does he want us on the network now?
No, I think that ship is sailed.
Rob's like, we can bump it to once a month.
We just had to threaten to quit to be on the Dice Tower Network. Ugh. So dumb. Anyway, hey, how you guys doing?
Does being on the network get you like a comped room at certain events?
No. It literally
Then
gets you...
I'm still out. I'm still out, guys.
Maybe
Then
more
I'm still
views.
out.
Hey, but you could develop it into an LLC and write it off on your taxes.
I already do that.
That's fair.
There you go.
Multiple ways of doing that.
Awesome. Listen, you
And
gotta
you
go
know
to
what's
those book
also
signings.
awesome? Frosted mini wheats for dinner at 9 o'clock at night.
That is awesome. I had at Cheeseburger
Frosted
that I
mini wheats
cooked
are
on
amazing.
my George Foreman grill
Hey.
because it knocks out the
Yes,
fat.
Chase, you got on the podcast, and we all looked at each other and said, you know what? We're quitting. Tonight's the night.
Wait,
Chase
Chase is
finally
here?
caught up
Chase
to
is
us.
here.
Nope.
We'll
I
never
can't
go
do
any
this,
farther.
guys. If Chase is going to be on, I'm out.
I didn't know that Chase was here. I would have been gone for a while.
We would have shut down.
It's like
Can't believe it.
It's so much that it doesn't matter that I just halfway just want to like stop the stream. Just
Oh, no.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
just be like,
Don't-
and stop the stream. Wait, what? Just
Way to
for a
go.
joke?
Way
Nothing
to go,
matters
Chase.
anymore.
Chase, we're just joking.
Oh, no.
We're joking, Chase. We
We
love
made the
you.
decision before we knew you were coming on.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
he
all
said
right.
this is his first live show. Aww.
It's his first live show, and he found out that we were ending the show tonight. So.
Nick says,
Well, not.
cut to the chase.
Cut to the chase. Epic Gaming Night Dice Tower Podcast. Doesn't have the same ring.
Yeah. Come on.
I don't know, man. I don't want to work for the man. I like working for myself. I've
There you
got
go.
two things that I do independently.
There you go.
So,
Make it happen.
making it happen.
Awesome,
Have you guys played anything this week? I played some stuff.
I played a couple things.
Matt, have you played anything?
Actually, yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's weird.
Matt
But
played
yeah.
a board game.
I
Okay.
played one board game.
What'd you play, man?
Codenames Duet.
Oh, sweet.
Who'd you play with? You don't have to reveal their name, but was it that special somebody?
Yeah.
Well, awesome, man.
Over the course of 4 years, you get to watch character progression. You go from sad, lonely Matt, who's mostly cheese, to semi-sad new Matt, who's got a person to play games with,
There you
who's
go.
still mostly cheese.
Dude, I actually think
now that
co-ed
Matt's in a relationship, guys, we can't do it.
This is all it was for. We just had to give me somebody. Now we're out. That's it.
I'm sure that it was 100% like she's like, oh, you're on a podcast, or they're like, oh, you're on a
100%.
podcast.
100%.
Oh, Epic Gaming! I love Epic Gaming Night, Matt. You're the Matt.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the amount of times I'd be like, hey, I have a podcast to do with friends, and
And
she's
people are
just
like,
like,
what is that?
what is that?
They're like,
I'm
what is a podcast? Do you have
I
to
go,
explain what a
Rib
podcast is?
rapping podcast. I don't know. I can do that. I'm gonna start a new podcast, guys.
Is it
There you
all
go,
going to
man.
be about ribs and rubs and rapping?
First of all, I'm not gonna expose this side to you guys, but I could rap a little bit. I can rap a little bit.
Oh, snap.
I can. No, I'm not.
Don't do
I'm
it.
not.
Don't do it. We'll get copyright strike because it'll sound too much like original rap.
It would be.
So Matt, what did you
but-
think about Codenames Duet, and how does it change up the game from regular Codenames?
Yeah, so I mean, it's really interesting because technically both of the people who play in Codenames Duet are the spy masters or the clue givers or whatever. Whoa, Mark Street's in chat. Wow. Haven't seen Mark Street here in a while.
He's in chat because Roy was talking him up on Facebook. Look at Mark Street buying all these games.
No,
Look at all
I
this kind of
said
stuff.
I was looking through my pictures, and I've had a really fun time this year. And also, here's Mark Street. That was not a because of Mark Street. Just kidding, Mark. You're awesome.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. It's Codenames Duet. It's basically just code names, except for you and the other person are taking turns giving each other clues for the same sort of common set of words. It's interesting because you sort of have to rethink about how, like, you look at the board, because it's like there were some words that I was looking at and going, ooh, no, that's my assassin, so why would I pick that? But, you know, for her, it was just a word I needed to pick, so I'm over here actively avoiding it for no reason. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of difficult if you're not very synced up, or it can be. Or if you're dumb like me and don't think of the word glacier when somebody gives you a clue for water. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well,
But yeah, I
Does
mean, it's just
does
code
exo
names.
mean we're fat? Like we're like extra obese? Or does that mean
I
we're
don't
in
think
love?
that's what that means. I think they were going to ask if we were going to Gen Con. But then they just wrote hugs and kisses instead.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've seen Codenames Duet, and I'm like, man, if I just had the cards, I'd be able to do it with the regular game, you know?
Mhm.
So,
I played Codenames Duet before. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's
I'm
yeah,
just
honestly,
happy that Matt has officially gone air and said he's got a special somebody.
I can't
spicy.
wait
Special
to
somebody.
meet him.
We know
It's
you're
gonna be
listening right
awesome.
now. We know you're a huge fan of the show. We know you secretly still talk, Matt. Thank you.
Jeez.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with us, and thank you for loving our big, lovable block of cheese over there.
Aw.
You keep doing you, girl. You keep doing you. And if it's really AJ, you keep doing you, man.
No, I'll be more
Doing
excited.
you.
I'll be like, you guys are in a relationship together? That's so cute.
Finally. And then, like, Bill would
I
be
don't
like,
think you're
knew it the
AJ's
whole-
type, Matt.
I knew it the whole time.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
What was I gonna say? But yeah, so I played a couple games. Do you want to hear
Okay.
about the Euro game or the party game weight cooperative game?
I
Both.
Both?
Tuesday?
Okay, which one first though?
Euro.
Okay, so I played Dead Man's Cabal. This is a Euro game where the theme is that you are trying to get basically ritual components or the right skulls to be able to reincarnate dead people, I guess. It's a really weird game. That's the theme of this Euro game. But basically, there's a whole bunch of different boards out, and it's kind of weird because like you set up the boards, but then it's got all these like corridors in between each of the boards. But so it looks like you're doing like a dungeon crawl or something like that with all these weird traps. Oh, you just got it. Is that the game you're talking about?
Yeah, I picked it up. No, I picked it up at Dice Tower.
Yeah,
that's right. We were playing that game, and they were playing it right beside us.
Have you played that?
Yeah, and I was looking at the rulebook. I have not.
So it is a Euro where you're racing. I think you're racing to get points, obviously. But the first player, the game ends when a player reincarnates 7 people, and you're trying to play out all these people and get as many points as you can. You get points for reincarnating the people, but then also if you get these like, I don't know if they're like magic component things, but if you get the magic components that match the people you get to put cubes on this track that'll like be like points multipliers based off of different things on the board. There's a place you can go that will give you skulls, which you need a certain number of skulls to reincarnate a person. And then there's a place you can go over to get more of the person cards, which are kind of like the cards that show you the set. It's like set collection. You're trying to get the right set collection to be able to get the people out. And basically there's also a board where it's actually like the summoning thing. And of course it's looking all creepy with the whole little like pentagram thing. But you have to like put these skulls out in certain shapes, and you have to have them in, there's like lines on it, and you have to have the lines connect the right order or the right things to match the person that you're trying to bring back. You also get like bones. And the bones kind of allow you to like do extra actions when you're doing different actions around the board. It's a weird game. Like, of course, it's got this dark theme of like, oh, you're resurrecting the dead. But I mean, it's not really that creepy. It's like you're collecting different colored skulls and then turning those skulls in to turn into people cards. Get points.
Not what? Creepy.
Well, it's like also all the cards are like very sort of cartoonish zombie.
Yeah, the characters are like zombie cutesy people. So like the board itself, when it's like, oh, the pentagram and the skulls. Like the whole time we were playing, because I was playing with Tom, I just kept making all the skulls look towards Tom. I don't think he ever noticed, but every time like he put out more skulls, I would turn them all looking directly at him, and they were just like, okay. This game was interesting because I played me, Tom, and Jason, and Jason. Eurogamer extraordinaire. We got to play a game on level footing because he had never played this game. I had never played this game. Tom had never played this game. We were basically doing opposite strategies. I was trying to revive as many people as fast as possible and push the end of the game, and he was trying to collect a whole bunch of the magic tokens so he could put a bunch of resources out to multiply his points. And I was trying to race the end of the game, and I ended up getting so many people out that I had like surpassed them both in points. Jason had a chance to catch up with me, but he placed the skull on the wrong place on the board in the middle where you're having to trace the lines, and he wasn't able to properly trace the lines for the 2 characters he was trying to get out. So he was only able to get 1 character out. I was able to get another character out and ended up clutching the victory or whatever. He wasn't very happy about it, but I thought it was funny.
Take that, Jason.
And then I was like, ha! Beat Jason at a Euro game. What then?
Boom.
Because normally, like, if Jason's like, hey, really play this game with me, and it's slightly Euro-y, I'm just like, I don't really want to because you've played it probably like 10 times. Why? But when we're on even footing, whatever, man. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was cute if you're into like set collection min-maxy and you like that theme for whatever reason. I mean, it's campy, right? So it's not too bad.
I think the actual theme is you're trying to just resurrect a bunch of people to help fill out your party. Like you're trying to throw a party. So you're trying to just get bodies to fill it up because like the whole thing is like very tongue in cheek from what I remembered of the Kickstarter.
And it's kind of interesting because you choose. Well, there's this grid of skulls that you're like kind of pushing, and the one you push off means the board that you get to interact with out of all the boards that are out in play. But then also you get to pick a public action. Then everybody else gets to follow that. So some of the public actions, anybody who does them are kind of okay. But the actual summoning public action, if you're the last person to summon, because the way the round works for that is everybody puts out skulls on the thing, then everybody takes turns summoning. And it's rough if you're the last person in there because all the skull connections are kind of broken unless you get super lucky. But overall, it was interesting game, and not necessarily my style, because it's literally like collect these things and turn them into points. But it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
That's Dead Man's Cabal.
It makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a pretty simple game overall, Matt. So I feel like you could probably easily get into it.
I just remember
kind of unique.
I thought I overheard somebody at a Dice Tower being like, "Wow, this is not what I thought it was." And I was just like, "Oh no, what have I done?"
What did they think it was?
But I don't know. I think it was just a little dry for them, or
yeah, it looks.
I don't know.
It looks when it's set up. Especially if you use the connections in between everything, it looks like it's gonna be like some sort of dungeon crawl. It is not that at all. It is straight up like set collection. Turn those sets into points, which is fine. But the other game I played is Kenny G's Keeping It Saxy.
Yeah, you did.
So this game is actually interesting. I didn't realize it is a cooperative. It is like a family lightweight cooperative game. And the theme of this, it's kind of weird because it's like family weight, but also it has like all these innuendos in it. Like Kenny G didn't have his morning sacks and stuff like that. It's just like, oh no, poor Kenny. But the entire point of the game, the theme is you're playing as Kenny G and you're all trying to make sure Kenny G doesn't lose his groove. So he has to play jazz to get through his problems of the day. So as you play the game, there'll be different rounds and different events will come out. And it's basically, this is another like very set collection game, but it's cooperative. So you're trying to get the different, like, it's not musical notes, but it's like different icons on these things. And the cards will all be like skiddly wop do bop bop or whatever on the cards and things like that. But there's certain symbols you have to get and you have to play them in order. So you're all working together to play them out, but also play them in order to complete these events. For each event that's in play at the end of a round, you're going to roll dice that are they're like, I'm pretty sure they might have the same odds as the Betrayal at House on the Hill dice, where it's like the 1s and 2s and 0s. But you roll these 6-sided dice that have very low numbers on them, and each time you get a pip on it, Kenny G will lose some of his groove. If Kenny G loses all of his groove, then all the players lose the game. So you're working through all these problems trying to keep Kenny G from losing his groove. And it's kind of funny because it'll be things like the Wi-Fi at work is out, or having a bad hair day, or just silly things like that. It'll be like, you lost a board game. So it's like, oh man, we got to complete the you lost a board game thing so Kenny G doesn't lose his groove. He's got to play jazz since he lost. It's just so silly. And Jason was like flipping out the whole time we were playing it, but he's like, what if they have Kenny G at their booth at Gen Con? What if they have Kenny G at their booth? I'm like, that would be really great marketing for them, probably. So we even got Crystal in chat. Everybody's coming in for the last few episodes. Everybody's like, we gotta get in there. But really great stuff. But yeah, that is Kenny G's what was it called?
I don't know. You played it. I have no idea.
Yeah, I've already forgotten.
Kenny G's Don't Get Sad with Sax.
The Art of Sax or something like that.
Sweet.
Or no, Kenny G's Keeping It Saxy.
Keeping It Saxy.
Yes.
But yeah, it was actually surprisingly like super lightweight cooperative fun. So I was like, hey, I mean, this is like a cooperative game you could play with anybody. I mean, it's not something that I'd be like, oh man, I need to own this and play it. But if I did, it would be like, this is like a super gateway board game. Like, if somebody wants to be tongue in cheek about Kenny G, I mean, it's not hard to play, and cooperative games are, but it's definitely very, very silly. But yes, that is what I played on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well, sweet, man. Well, I got to play a game of mine that actually came in early. I'm very excited that it came in early.
Sweet.
I played Throw Burrito.
Oh,
hey!
Nice.
And it did not disappoint. So, I don't know if you guys can notice, but I've got a little mark right here on the side of my face. I don't know if you can see that.
From burrito violence?
Yes, my daughter clocked me in the face with the burrito while I was still wearing my glasses. was not paying attention, and so Dad got revenge, and I did not feel bad about it. And it was awesome. The game is so stupid, and it's so great. I love it. It's you're all playing at the same time. Everybody gets a deck of 15 cards, and then there's 2 community decks out in front of you, and then you draw the top 5 cards from your deck, and then you say go, and you're trying to make sets of 3. And you'll have something like it's a crazy shark dog or like a sleeping sloth or other things. Sets of 3 of cards like that, you get 1 point per set. And when you get that set, you just play it down, right? You don't have to do anything crazy. But you can only hold 5 cards in your hand at a time. And so everyone's going at the same time. So you have 5 cards. You see if you have any sets. You don't. Then you discard a card and you draw up a new card. But whatever you discard, your discard is actually the player to your right's draw pile. So that way everybody's draw pile is constantly being fed. Mm-hmm. But once you get like a war card, and there's or a throw burrito card, there's the duel, which if there's a duel, you yell out duel, everybody has to stop what they're doing. And you choose 2 people. You can choose yourself or you can choose others, and they have to do a duel. You go back to back, you take 3 steps, you turn, and you throw burritos at each other.
That's awesome.
Then there's the war card, and the war card is everybody else at the table has to throw burritos at each other except for you. And then Adam's in the hospital. Oh, my gosh. Adam, why are you in the hospital? That's terrible. And then I did not see a story. I need to check that out. And then there's the brawl card, and the brawl card is
he probably got throw burrito too, and that's why he's
in the hospital. So it was a little fast for my daughter. Now she's 6. The game says for 7 and up. She did pretty well. She scored some points, but Mom and Dad definitely hit her multiple times with burritos. And so what's great about the game is you can duck, you can dive, you can jump, you can also catch burritos. Mm-hmm. And the other people are out. You play 2 rounds, and so after somebody gets hit, you go back to your cards. And what happens is they have like these little burritos with X's on them. There's 6 of them. Once all 6 of those have been passed out, then the game or the round ends, and you count up how many points you have. And in between rounds, there's this like "You are a hero" button, like "You're the man" button. And you put that on the person, so everybody now knows that you're winning the round.
Nice.
And so 2 rounds, not really a lot of it's not very crazy. You get 2 points for every type of burrito throwing set you get, and you get 1 point for every type of set you get that's non-burrito throwing. You're just trying to have the most fun. The burritos are super cute. My daughters love them. They want to just play with them, and not so much throw. But we definitely threw some burritos, and we're running around the house hitting each other with burritos and stuff like that. But man, it was a lot of fun. It was really simple and really easy. And another thing I loved about it, and I know it was generic, right? But my tracking info came with a little cartoon.
Oh,
and nice. It had like, they put in my address in this house, and so it was like cats launching a satellite into space, and then the satellite shot down a burrito missile onto my house to blow me up. And it had in like Robert Newman incoming, and then it says like the cats are typing in my address for the coordinates, and then you see like the burrito missile coming down. So that was really cool. Cool. Awesome. I thought it was cute. Just like, okay, like they didn't have to do this, but that little cartoon was on my packing slip. Cool. It was so cool. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. I'm excited to play with other adults. I just played with my wife and my daughter. But here's the other crazy thing, and this is what made it hard. My youngest daughter, she saw us laughing and playing, so she wanted to play. And so anytime there was a duel,
wrecked her.
Man, almost. There was one time I almost got her really bad, and I'm so glad I didn't. But my wife and I were dueling, and my daughter decided to follow mommy. And so we have our backs turned. So my daughter is following my wife, and they both turn at the same time. Well, I turn and chunk this burrito at my wife. And I miss my daughter's face or her body by like inches. And I'm like, whoa, thank you. Thank you, God, that I did not just like annihilate my daughter with a burrito. But she picked up burritos and threw them at me. I was not scared for my life or anything when she threw them at me. But it was just fun. It was silly. It was stupid. No, Kent and everybody else, you're not buying my copy of this game next year at Recon or Recon this fall. I think this is like my new Happy Salmon because it's really fast. Like it's fast, or it's not as fast as Happy Salmon, because you have to pass out these 6 burrito injuries, and so at least 6 people have to get hit with burritos. Only one person gets a burrito injury. The first person to get hit with a burrito every round, that's who gets it. So it's not like in one battle 3 people will get a burrito injury. Only one will. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. Super simple, super easy to play. I mean, the game is one sheet of rules, and that's it. And so just, if you ever have that special somebody, like Mark, if Mark Kale comes up to your playing group and you're like, hey, Mark, you want to play Throw Burrito? That's who you play with. You play with the Mark Kales of the world. But good times.
Nice.
It's a good game.
Bro, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And my daughter, she got like so excited when she hit me in the face, but then she saw the blood. And she was like, oh, Dad, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh, it's okay. I said, baby girl, it's okay. Don't worry. We're about to play this game. Don't worry. Don't worry.
It's coming back around.
I never made her cry or anything like that, but like anytime there was a duel and I had to choose, I was like, Briley, me and you, let's go. Briley, let's go. Dad, Briley, do it. And we were playing in that back room, so like we're diving behind the dining room table. My wife is running into the kitchen trying to get away. Like we just had a lot of fun. It was super silly, just really dumb fun, but just like good family bonding. Just throwing food at each other. So
statements you might not have thought you'd ever hear yourself say.
I don't know if I would have ever heard myself say that, but yeah. Throwing a burrito at my daughter really brought us together.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. If there were ever a quotable thing to put on a shirt, I think that's... I think that's the
through the years, haven't you had that? Oh, that Darth,
Yeah.
Darth would say that. That's a shirt idea.
Yeah.
That's the shirt idea. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, Matt, you never told me which game didn't have rules in it.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I got this game in from Kickstarter. I think it doesn't have rules because it's just comprised of a bunch of like yard games, but it's called Metal. It's in this little metal box.
Oh, crazy.
And all the pieces are metal. But it's basically just like yard games. You got like little balls and little standy up things and a hammer.
Okay.
I don't know. It's basically just yard games. Like I don't know any yard games.
Like outside
I was hoping
yard
there would be.
games?
Yeah. Like old school like lawn dart sort of things
Yeah,
where you're
man,
like
I
setting
love that
stuff
stuff.
and trying to throw stuff. So it's like I guess it's supposed to just be a small thing that you can kind of set up and just mess
I wonder
around
if
with
they
some
have
people.
the stuff on the Kickstarter or what the deal is.
Probably. I was just surprised. I was going to open it up and I was like, hey, man, I should find the rules so that maybe I could play it. And then I opened it up and I was like, no rules. And this is from the same designer that did all the Tokyo series games,
yeah.
like Metro and like the vending machines and all the crazy. So it's like all his games that he's made so far are basically like small, interesting components, but then he usually designs or gets some other people to help co-design like 5 to 7 different like types of games that you can play with that one game box.
Oh, gotcha.
So I think this is just sort of a continual motion in that direction.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It also came with what's that game? Where is it? Oh, Human Era, the social deduction game about people being in a time machine.
Sounds way better than human suffrage, human
Yeah.
loathing. The era of humans sounds great, just not the era of machines.
Well, interestingly enough,
Machines like Jordan.
Yeah.
You're saying Jordan's a machine?
He's always a machine, isn't he?
Dude dances all the time. That was one of the things. Are we talking about the same Jordan?
Oh
Yes.
yeah. I was just every time he'd get sleepy, he's like, "Man, I gotta get up and do
I
something."
gotta dance.
Take a nap. You just rock out.
I'm pretty sure that guy doesn't own shoes. I'm just saying.
Right? He kept dancing and he kept trying to take his clothes off.
Anyway,
Should've
that
seen him in the
StarCon was
bedroom.
interesting.
Oh man.
But yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, sweet.
Well, I guess
man.
we can
Good
get
stuff.
into the topic tonight, seeing that Matt has jobs and things to do. See,
Oh yeah.
everybody's on a high note now. Let's do this.
Yeah.
It's funny because I had a ton of people being like, "Oh man, I'm so sad you guys are like ending the podcast." I'm like, "Well, we're kind of ending it because things are too awesome.
Yeah, we got a whole lot of stuff.
Rob's got too much work. He's got all these book signings to go to. He doesn't have time to go do the podcast because he has so many book signings. And like everybody's come up to do his autograph all the time. What he's worried about is that people are going to try to get his autograph during the show. So it would just be unprofessional.
Yep, that's exactly it. So I'm preemptively. That's it. That's it. I like that. Let's do that.
And Matt's like a CEO of a company now, and he's got like lady friends and stuff. So, I'm just over here like working for some guy with a hat. Like,
I'm actually doing.
It's like some hat guy. So there's a filter on completely sidetracked. There's a filter on on Facebook Messenger that just gives you like a hat, like a I don't know what kind of hat, like a fedora or something like that. And every single time my wife is talking to my brother-in-law, he puts on the fedora thing and goes, "Hey, who am I?" And I'm like, "You're Tom Vassell." He's like, "I'm Tom Vassell." I'm just like, okay. Every single time. I'm like, okay, thanks, man. We have fun.
Yeah. Ironically, the first time I saw Tom, he didn't have a hat on because we were at that steakhouse.
I yelled at him.
There you go.
And I was just like, I don't know who that man is, but Rob's really excited to see him.
I've met him
Is that
before.
your daughter? Is that your daughter?
I've talked to him before. Bro, that food was so good.
It was so good.
I was on a high from the food. Because I've met Tom at multiple cons before and other stuff like that.
He was actually sad that he didn't talk to you at Dice Tower Con. He was like, "Was Rob there?" I was like, "Yeah, Rob was there." He's like, "Oh man, I would like to say hi to him." And I'm like,
He didn't say that.
He did. I'm not joking. So
well, I yelled at him and his daughter rather loud in a fancy steakhouse that you should not be doing. You should not be acting like that. And I didn't realize how loud it was, but that steak and the freaking cocktail, the shrimp cocktail. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
I want to go back. I only want to go to Gen Con for the food. Like, yeah, the games are great.
Absolutely.
But
100%.
I want to go for the food. I want to get those habanero cheese sticks or breadsticks and St. Elmo's steak sauce, or not steak sauce, St. Elmo's. I want to get a steak, and I want to get their shrimp cocktail. Man, if you're ever sick, if you're ever congested and you don't feel very good and alcohol doesn't work well for you, get St. Elmo cocktail sauce. The horseradish will rip your face off. So good.
It was good.
And the con time, too. I mean, you can have fun at the con, but the food.
They were getting mad at me because we were like doing challenges with it. Like me and Sam and Rob Oren were just like, "How much horseradish can you eat?" Everybody's like, "You guys act like you're all tough." I'm like, "We are tough."
Yeah. Man, those are good times. We should do that. We should like rank cons based off of food.
Oh man, you haven't been to PAX Unplugged yet, though.
I know, and I want to. I want to go for like the history and stuff, like just seeing Philadelphia and all that kind of stuff. But I also want an authentic Philly cheesesteak.
Tom was like, "Should we go to PAX Unplugged? Like, it's a lot to like take everybody out there." I'm like, "But yo, the food." And he's like, "The food's really good." And I'm like, "But the food, Tom." He's like, "But it's in December." And I'm like, "You're right." He's like, "We could like be good to go for Christmas." I'm like, "But the food, Tom."
Man, okay, Vegas does have like amazing food. I went to like a business event in Vegas years ago.
It's so expensive though.
But it's like it should be. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're in the middle of where bodies are buried, dead people are all around you, and you have water. And there's grass. And there's pools and there's fresh lobster. You shouldn't have frech lobster.
And none of that stuff started there. They had to bring all that in.
Yeah, I know. That's why it costs so much. But like, it's like Vegas is. I mean, I don't want to say miracle because it's not a miracle, but Vegas is the magic trick that everybody needs and deserves because the way that they get stuff out there. And I know it's not hard to get out there. You just drive it out there. But seriously, you're in the middle of a desert and there's this fancy town, fancy city.
It's a monument to man's hubris.
Well, and then also the wonderful and amazing Crystal Pisano. Yep. You know, I may actually see Crystal more in the future because my brother, he's in Florida right now. He's thinking about moving to Vegas next year. And so if that's the case, I may have to go see Scotty Too Hottie. That's what I call my little brother because he'll never grow up. He'll never be Scott to me. He's always Scotty Too Hottie. And so we'll see. Anyway, what are you talking about board games? Man, I don't want to talk about food. Food is so good.
Cool. Well, today we're talking about too many board games. Not that there is such a thing, but
Too many?
it's kind of interesting because there was a designer panel that we had at Dice Tower Con, and a lot of the designers and publishers were talking. Well, it was mostly designers. It was all designers, but all the designers were talking about how there's just so many games and so many Kickstarters and so much stuff coming out. It's really changing the landscape of the industry. It's hard for board games to be considered evergreen, and people are always constantly going after the next new thing. So I know as a consumer, it's probably great to have so much selection, but how do you guys feel about the quantity of board games being released? I looked it up on Board Game Geek, and I just typed in 2019 and excluded expansions, and we had like 2,800 games so far that have been announced, and we haven't even hit Gen Con and Essen yet. Last year, it was 4,100 games. So it's like, oh man, so many games. So what do you guys think about that?
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me because it also separates the wheat from the chaff type of a thing. Like, if there are so many really great games that come out every year that I don't hear about, the hundreds of games that are like, because we do this show, because we have friends that are also obsessed with board games, except for Kent Parker and Concordia, which I can't believe it's still a top 10 game of
So you're
his.
saying that was in the chaff, right?
What? Yeah, that's a chaff. That's a terrible game. It's a terrible
Should have been left on the threshing room floor.
Yeah, why? It was that bad. It was a stupid game. It had no theme, and you just get cards and take your turn. And then Kent would give you looks when you're not like, Robert, you need to go. Kent, listen. Anyway, that's a different story. I like it because it separates the wheat from the chaff. And typically the games that are good, if you give it a couple months, you'll see them rise up in the Board Game Geek list. Now, don't get me wrong. There may be some really great games that get overlooked by it. But I think it's healthy. Because, remember, back in the day, 90s and 2000s, early 2000s, there'd be, a handful of good games that came out a year. Mm-hmm. There were other games that came out, but there were, a handful of games where everyone was like,
possible to be you could, in theory, if you had enough money, you could buy all the good games. And now it's, impossible to even play all the good games. It's impossible to play all of the great games. And it's we're not hurting for, good design. There's a ton of amazing things to play. I feel as a consumer, it's awesome,
Yeah. I agree. What do you think, Matt?
I do agree in that department. I had something to say, but now that we started talking about Concordia, my mind just sort of got sidetracked.
That's what it does to you. It eats your brain, and anything that was good in your brain is now gone.
Oh, because snap. I'm going to go vote Concordia down to 1. Maybe that'll drop it down some points. Because you just said it was number 18 on Board Game Geek.
It is number 18 on BGG.
Let's all go rate it right now. Kent Parker said this game was good, and my friend didn't agree. Therefore, I'm rating it.
Perfect.
Hey, that's more reason than some people did for Pandemic Legacy.
That is a lot more reason than some people give on Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
Anyway, finish your sentence, Matt.
I think one negative thing about the quantity of sort of board games that are going out is it. Because used to you would see Kickstarters of games coming out retailing MSRP somewhere between $40 to $60, maybe on the higher end $80, or if you had your Twilight Imperiums, you'd see them at $100. But these days the game prices keep climbing, and I feel part of that is just the amount of games that are coming out. People can say, "Oh, hey, look at this game. We're going to offer it to you for $30, $40, and maybe the low end $20," and then other retail companies might be looking at it and going, oh, well, if that's what people are spending $40 on, we could maybe mark this up a little bit. So a game that might have been $50 or $60 last year is probably $80 or $90 this year,
Yeah, I'd say that's the one downside is the...
And I don't think it's super prevalent, but I think that's one of those sort of... in a capitalist society, it's that sort of ladder that you can start doing where it's just cool, the market's just increasingly going up, so the price of these games are going to continue to sort of climb. Now, there are still plenty of companies who give you a lot of bang for that buck, but, there are others who will just take what they can because you're giving it to them. Sort of. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. But here's the thing, though. Like, one of the things that I'm appreciating, like I have bought some games where I overpaid and I didn't really give the game like its due. But there are some games where it comes with a lot, and not even that it just comes with a lot, but I also think the quality of the game, like it's just a
games
good
come
game.
with a lot
Not that it
more
just
than
comes with
they
a lot of
used
plastic.
to.
But yeah, games are offering so much more now than they used to. Exactly. That if people are, you just got to pick your poison. And for a lot of people now, their poison is board games. If people weren't buying them the way that they used, if people weren't spending that money on that pricing, they would not price them at that price point. But so it's just one of those things where with the good games, you can't afford to be a really big game and not be good. For example, look at Massive Darkness. You hear anybody talk about it?
Yeah.
No, not really.
No, $100 plus game. I was excited for it. We played it at Steamon. I was like, oh crap, But we still talk about Zombicide. We still talk about Blood Rage. We still talk about Rising Sun. And so the thing is, like, you may be a big game, but you won't make it in the gaming world. And I think that's one of the things that we need to get better at is maybe being a little bit more patient. But that's one of the things that sucks too about Kickstarter. But we have to be more patient and to find out, like, okay, is this game going to live up to the hype? I give it a couple months after it's released. But then you miss out on so much if you don't back end on Kickstarter, especially with certain companies like CMON.
Yeah. I mean, my job right now, we're pretty much in the like, it's literally we give out information about games and try to help the consumer figure out if the game is good or not. I mean, we also do Kickstarter previews of games. We do playthroughs of games beforehand. There's no possible way we could play or show people everything, but we try to help people discern what might work for them and what might not work for them. I mean, regardless of whether Tom, Sam, or Z like the game or not, you can at least see the game, see how the game plays, and see what's in the box and determine for yourself at that point, and just trying to get some of that information out there, just because there's so much. And sometimes, like, they'll find like a hidden gem out there that might have gotten lost just in the mass of games. I mean, because I feel like there are good games out there that just get swept under the rug and no one really hears about them just because they didn't hit the market right, Maybe there was a small thing. Maybe the art didn't look quite cool enough or it didn't have something that made it stand out, but it's probably amazingly fun to play. But there's so many amazing, fun-to-play games out there that sometimes things are just not quite hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they may get overlooked for whatever reason. For example, Hail Hydra. I think one of the things that kind of hurt Hail Hydra is I think it came out right after Infinity War.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, people may have thought, like, oh, okay, this is just a cheap hype game, like a cheap Marvel game. But it's actually a really great game. And it's like $29 retail at Target. And they're saying in chat right now it's like $15 on Miniature Market.
That's
like,
awesome.
I love Hail Hydra. That's a top 3 social
It's
deduction.
an absolute bargain.
So good.
One of my coworkers was saying they might make a Miniature Market order. I might have to be like, yo, I'll give you $15. Hit me up with that Hail Hydra.
So good. But Jaws, I saw Jaws being played. Was Jaws any good, Battle Cry? I saw Jaws being played at Ice Tower Con. I love that theme and that whole idea of the shark. And then, man, if somebody gets to be the shark, if you get to be the shark, bro, just comment in the chat, please, because I may jump on that Miniature Market because I've been looking at Miniature Market for Song of Ice and Fire stuff too.
Oh, really? Do they have good sales on that, or?
Yeah, but a lot of stuff they have on sales, I already have.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yes, very fun. Ah, crap. Yeah, but I need more than just very fun. Is it very, very fun? And why is it very fun? And can you be the shark?
These are important questions. So how do you think it affects the market of with all these games being released?
I think.
Because consumers are just not going to be able to buy it all, and consumers are honestly like they get a new game and they're just on to the next one. So if your game doesn't hit strong when it first comes out and it's not the new hotness, I mean, then people might have just passed it over.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely tough for the little guy.
Mm-hmm.
like the big name companies, they'll get their sales, or at least reach a certain goal just because, there's the groupies, the company groupies and stuff like that. I'm a company groupie for some companies. But yeah, it's tough. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd want to be in that.
I feel like even
I don't.
Kickstarter
I don't know if I'd
now.
want to be a small guy. I don't know if I'd want to be like an independent.
Mhm.
I would probably, if I were to do anything, in that I'd want to be like an Emerson. Like, let me sell off my games and let other people deal with
Freelance.
that
Yeah,
type
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, I feel like even if you're trying to do the Kickstarter route, there's so many big like mammoth companies on Kickstarter now that I feel like if you're the little guy trying to start it out, you better make sure your game looks really good and it better
Yep.
get talked about by people. You just have to get
Yeah.
lucky. You have to have all your ducks in a row, which I mean you should. But I wouldn't want to be the guy who's like, I'm gonna try to start my board game company with Kickstarter at this point, just because the market is like there's always so many Kickstarters for board games that are always running at the same time now. Before it was just like, oh man, you don't want to run yours at the same time as a CMON game because people will be focused on that and you might not get as much money. Well, now it's CMON and Awaken Realms and Colossal and all these other companies that are just pushing out games, and Tasty Minstrel with all their deluxeified stuff, and all these companies that are like big established companies are constantly putting out games, and it's just like, oh, I want that, oh, I want that, oh, I want that. So consumer wallets are only so big. So, I mean, I know you guys have argued about, like, well, which game should I back? Should I back this game or should I not back that game? Well, I know this other game's coming out a little bit later on in the year. Maybe I shouldn't back this because that,
Yeah, I mean, for sure. There's the amount of just sort of oversaturation on the market it makes it definitely harder to be one of the little guys. And I feel like it's driving a lot of consumer trends toward the big companies, because even if you were to exclude Kickstarter and say, okay, we're just going to buy games that we see on the Dice Tower or that get announced at Gen Con or Essen, stuff like that. It's like, okay, cool. All right, cool. Let's do this stuff. And it's still just predominantly very large companies who are putting out these games. And with Asmodee buying up more and more companies, it's consolidating all the power sort of to the top. But
And even the companies they don't buy, they still have the distribution for,
yeah. And it's like it's I guess good in a way, because like we're getting games that we wouldn't have been able to get years ago because just the amount of plastic in them, or the amount of development that some of these games go through is crazy. Or like even like Crystal was talking about Discovery in chat, a game with procedurally sort of generated names and all that stuff, like Keyforge, those are things that weren't possible
Right.
a couple of years ago, and it's only possible because of the amount of money that's in the market. So it's like, it's good, but
It's like a small publisher can't make these app games and things like that just
Yep.
because the amount of development and money that would cost to make them.
Yeah.
But these big publishers that are in these consolidated companies, they're making apps for other people's games. They're like, your game was really good. Can we license your game and make an app for it? It's that kind of crazy thing,
yeah. And then it's where's my brain going? I've forgotten. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
You're in love. I wouldn't say love. I don't know if it's love yet. You haven't told me. But
I think it's dementia.
Dementia.
when you also have to get up early.
Hey,
Yeah.
honey, I just want you to know I'm in dementia with you.
Woo! Let's get ready. Have you been to
How do you
Plains
think
of Phantom?
this affects publishers and game designers from the big to the small?
Well, I mean, I think we kind of already answered that.
Yeah.
I think the big are still getting games sold just because they're big.
Yep.
Um,
But even the games are getting sold, they don't stick on the market for very long. They're like in and out.
No, but I think that has to do with the publisher.
Depends on the publisher.
Well, Asmodee is terrible about that, in my opinion. I don't think they really support a lot. For their games and stuff like that. Unless you're like a huge IP, I really don't think they give you a lot of support. And I think they're only giving support to certain IPs because they contractually have to. I think they would have pulled the plug on Legion a long time ago if they didn't have to. And I could be completely wrong. Sales on Legion could be out of this world, but I don't see anybody online in all the miniature forums and stuff I'm on. I don't see anybody talking about Legion.
Right.
I saw at the beginning people were excited to paint Star Wars figures,
Right.
but I don't see anybody talking about that game or even talking about painting that game, like they did for the first month after it came out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
What do you guys think can really help a board game cut through the noise and be something that you would love to pick up?
Reviewers, you gotta be able to get it out. You gotta get reviews.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get reviews. You need that late night guy who's you need the ShamWow guy to tell everybody how great your game is, or like podcasts.
Also, I think the game could stand up on its own if it has amazing art, amazing production, and it's unique. Like, you need a game that people are like, I don't have that in my collection yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, art and production are two really big factors.
Mm-hmm.
Which, man, I wish I was an artist.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know how they're getting paid. I could be completely wrong, but I imagine they do work. They sell off the work. They get their commission. Like they're not making a residual income off of every sale of the game. Like they're making their one-time thing, right? And all these board games that are constantly coming out, could you imagine the demand for art all the time?
Especially card games, man. Like each individual card where you need custom art. I mean, I feel like forever ago I looked back at it and I can't imagine that the price have gone down, but it's like a decent amount per card,
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's a ton of work though. And they definitely keep these ladies and gentlemen working with the amazing art. And I mean, there's so many good artists, but you see a ton of the same ones over and over because they do an amazing job. It's really cool to see the art, and I feel like these days, if a publisher is not like putting like the money into the art and just is going to have their game look slightly bland or have their game look different ways, I mean, it's not going to be able to cut through the market the way that it used to. I mean, look at a game like Wingspan. Like, the game is good, the mechanics are solid, but the art is also amazing. Like Scythe, also the art, like, I mean, I understand there's controversy around the art, but people were initially interested in that game because of the art,
What's the controversy around the art for Scythe?
Apparently the guy traced the mechs or something like that.
Yeah, what he does is what's been sort of touted is that he'll take somebody else's picture that has a very similar setup, and he'll go through and trace where he wants the elements to be, and then sort of paint over that. Now the picture looks pretty different when he's done, but the same general sort of flow and scope of it is the same.
Yeah. But regardless of that, Scythe, the interest in board games can be very much like the graphic design looks amazing and the art looks amazing, and it has these cool miniatures, or even if it doesn't have miniatures, it just looks good. If a game looks good, people are going to be more interested in it.
I bought games based off of looks and just looks.
I know. I think a lot of people find it really important. So, and I mean, you do have the people that are like, I don't care about the looks, I don't care about the miniatures, I just want it to have the min-max point heavy thing. And I mean, you have that group, but I feel like majority want it to have the cool, awesome mechanics and look good.
There are a group of people that can appreciate the game based off of the mechanics and the rules alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are people like us who needed to look good to help get into that theme, to help escape and enjoy it.
Like I was saying, there are so many good games. Why would I play a good game that's good with just the mechanics when I could play a good game that's good with the mechanics and looks good?
And looks good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, are there specific media outlets you go to see if you'd be interested in a game?
I know
Epic Gaming Night, obviously.
I know one media outlet I don't go to because they're a bunch of tools.
If you say Board Game Blitz, that's really mean, Rob.
No, I was about to say Dice Tower.
Crystal's about to yell at me in chat.
No.
Shots fired.
Did she leave?
Board Game Blitz is amazing.
Don't yell at me in chat, Crystal. I'm just joking.
No. I mean, Dice Tower's been around. Dice Tower and Board Game Geek have been around for so long. And the good thing about Dice Tower is because of the Kickstarters and stuff like that, like it is your full-time job, right? And you know this because you do this on a daily basis. Like so much content is put out. Like
12 reviews a week.
Yeah, so 12, so it's like that's over 500 or 600
reviews.
24.
We do
600.
2 board game breakfasts. We do Back Talk. We do Testing Tuesday where we play games live. We do Deep Dive. Yeah. We do crowd surfing. So it's. I mean, we try to talk about games, and the main purpose is, for one, of course, we want to make content and continue doing what we're doing, but we're also getting information out there. You know, hey, we talk about these Kickstarters. Do they look cool? Do they not look cool? What do you guys think? You know.
I started to paint my Nemesis minis. On a side note, I just turned my head.
Oh, sweet.
I'm not crazy about the way that they're turning out. I want to do something.
I feel like you could dry brush them a lot and be able to make them look really cool. You know.
Yeah, if I was good at dry brushing.
You just paint with the brush with less paint on it. I'm still sad we never had like those painting days.
Yeah, Roy, all your fault.
Well, I want to do it with Hector too.
Bad, the theme is thin at best. Concordia does look bad, Kent. It looks bad. The theme is no theme. Concordia is the ethnos through and through.
Nah, I don't think it looked as bad as ethnos. I think it
yes,
kinda,
it does. It's the same. It's the same
a
color scheme of a board. Ethnos is better because at least it has like plastic stacking saucers on top of it. Concordia, you get these. The only good thing about Concordia is the materials. You know, like those little things are good. But even Kent had to bring in his own organizer because the Concordia organizer, that was part of the game. Win this game and figure out how to put it back together. So Kent made his own and he's super glued it together. Anyway, Concordia. Kent, I love you, man, but you gotta stop. You gotta stop that. You gotta stop saying that word. It's a dirty word.
Nice.
Anyway. You really like that game, Matt?
It's okay.
What's appealing about it?
To me, it
not a bad
seems
game.
just like Century Spice Road, but like advanced. So there's like more going on. But yeah, I think also part of it was just the time we played in it.
We did play it super late. The color of the box, bro. When he pulled out that box art, Courtney looked right at my face, like give it a chance type of a thing. I don't know. Yes, the time.
I just love that he was begging to play it the whole time, and like he really, really wanted to play it, and then Rob just like opened up the box and like squatted on it or something.
He's like, "Oh man, it's a really good game. It's top 10."
He's like, "I love it. It's one of my favorites." And then Rob's like, "You're wrong, Kent."
It's not a bad game, but it's the type of Euro game that I don't like to play.
Yeah.
Like at least with Spice Road. Spice Road, what I like about it, one is the color scheme,
and it's fast.
Two, it's fast. I like it because it's fast. This game, it's not that. It's very bland, and it's the same mechanics. You are right. It's similar mechanics, not the same, but it's similar. But it's just it's not fast, and it's like blah. It's like I said, it's the Euro type of game that I don't care to play for. Like that's the Euro game. Kent, if you have any more of those where it's like, oh, this is number 17 on BGG, just don't.
I think one of the reasons I liked it so much was just how the scoring worked. Because that to me was sort of really interesting and something I hadn't seen in a game.
How was it different?
Well, it just has the multipliers on the bottom of the card.
So like each card, Roy, has a type that's like under it, and it's like one of 6 or 7 types, and then each of those types has a specific way to score, and so you get points based off whatever it scores, and then you multiply that by the number of those cards you have. And so you can buy cards like Century, so you're basically trying to build your hand and build your deck a little bit so that you can play and make good combos on the board. But you're also trying to pick up these cards that are going to help you score points at the end of the game. So it might not do anything for you in the overall game, but it might score you an extra 10 or 15 points at the end of the game based off whatever strategy you're going for.
That sounds great.
Sounds like every Euro game. But no,
See,
there's a lot to have like those different multipliers and things like that.
I like Terraforming Mars, but I like the theme of Terraforming Mars. Like I like the idea. Like yes, it would be boring a little bit to just watch a planet grow, but it's cool though. Like I like that Terraforming Mars. This, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
Anyhow. I do think if we could ever, all four of us, get back together and have a painting day, that'd be super cool. Like, when I bought Giant Killer Robots, I got 4 extra minis that are unpainted, specifically for if we ever had a painting day. It was just going to be the 4 of us, and I was just going to be like, pick a robot. Yeah. So.
You know what? We should do that and send pictures to Roy. Like, hey, Roy.
When Roy comes up for Christmas, I don't know where
I think I am trying to come up for Christmas.
There we go.
What was I going to say?
I'll be in New York for Christmas.
Well, never mind.
So we'll send Rob pictures.
Hey.
We'll be at Cabin Con at the beginning of December.
There we go. Cabin Con.
You're invited, but the likelihood of you coming.
Wait, the beginning of December? That's PAX Unplugged.
Yeah.
I thought PAX Unplugged was in November.
It's like the last week of November, first week of December. That sort of time frame.
That's how it was last year, because last year it was like November 27th.
Yeah, it's like the very beginning of December, something like that.
And people still can't. We'll see. We'll get the dates. We'll find out when PAX Unplugged is.
Aw, snap. Cool. So, the last question I have here before Matt has to run, is what new game would you recommend that you have really enjoyed so far from 2019? We're talking about all these amazing games. If there's people out there that are interested in these games that have just come out and they don't know how to cut the wheat from the chaff, what would you say is some wheat that you found that you think is really good and you're excited about?
Okay, I'll let you guys go first. Yeah, I'll let you guys go first because I was not expecting that question.
Sorry.
How about this? The first one that was actually a really surprising and I really, really enjoyed. Wingspan.
Oh, nice.
It was surprising how much I enjoyed Wingspan, how fun it was, and how simple it was. I like Brass better overall as a game, but Brass is definitely a lot thicker and heavier. Brass is that 3 to 4 hour game, or 2.5 to 3+ hour game, where Wingspan, once you know how to play, you could be done in under an hour. Components and quality and everything is really top notch. And it makes sense now. After an hour having played it, it makes sense and I like it. So that's my first one, Wingspan.
For me, and I think this is my favorite game so far for the year, and that's Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. I know it's a big game, an expensive game, but I loved Mansions of Madness. I love Lord of the Rings, so it's kind of obvious. After I played this game with Chris, we played 2 scenarios, and then it came out that weekend. I immediately went to Cool Stuff and bought the copy. I was like, I hope, I didn't order it online. I was like, I hope they have it on the shelf, and it was there on the shelf, and I'm like, we're buying it now.
He who shall not be named keeps asking me about that game, and I still haven't played it.
And then Ambi and Toby played it at Dice Tower Con. They played a game of it, and they immediately went to Cool Stuff there at the con and bought a copy of it. So I think it's good. If you like Lord of the Rings, I mean, they're Lord of the Rings super fans. I'm Lord of the Rings super fan, so take that with a grain of salt. So if you like Lord of the Rings, that's a thing. If not, you might still like the game, but
Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
My game might unsurprisingly be Dinogenics.
Oh yeah.
That game's really good. It's back on Kickstarter again, so if anybody's listening to this and is like, man, you know what, dinosaur games, check it out. It's also a good example of all the stuff we've been sort of talking about, where Kickstarter launches and having key art and stuff are important. Because I was looking back at Ninth Haven Games is the company that's making it. Their first Kickstarter, they've only done 3, was for Dinogenics in 2017. The art was a little iffy, but the core game seemed almost eerily similar to what they had out now. And it just didn't fun. So they ended up canceling it, taking it back to the drawing board, coming up with a better release timing and schedule and all that stuff. Because I think they popped it onto Kickstarter a week before Gen Con.
It's super important, and it's so hard, because if you're going to be a company, if you're doing Kickstarter, you obviously want to be a company. Art is extremely expensive. Really good graphic design is extremely expensive, but it is a requirement. It is a requirement at this point for your game to fund on Kickstarter and fund well. Yeah. So you have to have all of your ducks in the row. You have to have the game ready. You have to have the rulebook ready. You have to have everything in place beforehand. And it stinks because Kickstarter itself started as this thing to be for the little guy to be able to make his dream come true. But at this point, it's really hard for someone to be able to do it. But I mean, I guess that helps the consumer in the end, because then hopefully somebody who just has a pipe dream isn't making a Kickstarter. It's somebody who has a plan is making a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But yeah, Dinogenics, super fun. Coming out with an expansion. You can get water dinosaurs. It's super cool. If we hit more stretch goals, there'll be more dinosaurs. So that's neat. So go.
Please
go
back
back
down.
So I can get more
Batman was a ton
dinosaurs.
of fun. I'm pretty sure the Kickstarter's in for that, right?
Yes, it has.
Batman was great. I didn't need more Batman, so I didn't back more Kickstarter because I've like played it like once, and they're like, "Hey, want 37 more expansions and a bajillion more miniatures?" And I'm just like, "I live in a condo in Florida now. I do not have space for all of your plastics." And I'd like to play the game more before investing more, but I've really enjoyed that. I just love that system of the river.
Yeah.
And
Sweet.
I bet Rob will love Invader when it actually comes out.
I'm excited for Invader. You know what, I just talked about this game. The other one I'm excited for, and I'm really glad, is Nemesis. Even though it's not officially out, it will be out. But Nemesis is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, because when you die, you will be dead. But I love that because it makes sense. It makes sense. If an alien eats your face, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
You don't come back. You're dead. And so I really liked it. And the whole idea of Alien meets Dead of Winter, because that's what it is to me, is such a sexy combination of crap, I can't trust you. Why are you doing this? And it just, I absolutely loved it. We only played once. Loved it so much I started painting the minis. Not doing a good job, though. I'm going to send my minis down to Roy to get dry brushed. And so, but anyway, yeah. Nemesis. Nemesis is like, I played it. I really enjoyed it. I really am jonesing to play it again.
That's awesome. Well, I guess we're going to wrap this thing up so that Matt can get some sleep. And we can get things rolling. But we do want to say thank you so much, everybody who joined us in chat. You guys are amazing. We only have a few episodes left. So, hey, don't back us on Patreon. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Aww.
But yeah, I mean, it still pays the bills. But
to those,
I have to figure out. Like, this is a weird thing. It's like, okay, so I'm not sure how Libsyn works. Like, I feel like if I cancel Libsyn, it's gonna like take the podcast down, and I don't necessarily want that, you know. So, I gotta figure out what to do about that. But I feel like I can like make the cost of it go way back though, because it's like I'm not uploading a ton of things to it. I don't know. It's a weird, interesting conversation and thing I got to figure out. But, you guys are amazing. And thanks, everybody, for joining us. Make sure to check us all out on our social medias, because a lot of people are like, oh, no, you guys are leaving. No, we're not. We're still going to be around. We're going to be at game conventions. You're going to be able to check out Matt and Rob at all the local North Carolina conventions for sure.
Oh, man, because
everybody's coming to Cabin Con. Everybody, I'm pretty sure, right?
Everybody.
It's open invitation to the public, right?
100%.
All of the public that has Rob's phone number, and we're not giving that out on air.
Or that's not even a Patreon stretch goal.
It's not a Patreon stretch goal.
But I check out my new podcast I'm starting. It's What Could Have Been Gaming Night.
Rob told me, hey, I don't have time for a podcast anymore. I'm like, it wouldn't be the same without you. And he's like, yeah, it sure wouldn't. Did you cancel podcast? And my new podcast announced here on Epic Gaming. I'd be like, Rob, what are you doing?
The better, best. It'll be the
Matt,
better,
you can do
best.
whatever you want. But Rob.
Yeah, I'm not nearly as charismatic. I can't carry a show, but Rob can.
I can't.
He's going to start his...
I tell you this, though. If I were to do any other thing besides board games, it'd be movies.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, your brother's into that too, right?
Which one?
I don't know.
Yes. I mean, I have a brother that's a producer in Hollywood.
Right. Nice. So, yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody, for joining us. And I guess we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Adam
Bye.
Kent at UBG Podcast. I love it.